Hey, gang, welcome to another exciting watch party of the Orville. Season 1 we are on right now. We're going to be getting into the episode Into the Fold. Season 1, episode 8 of the Orville, a game changer for the Orville. Letting everybody know, letting the Orville know that it's okay to get a little serious sometimes when it comes to high quality science fiction. But of course, there's a lot of fun going on in this episode too, despite the dangers that are going on. How are you guys doing today? We are waiting for the Orville season 4 to go into production in just a couple months. People are like, oh, JP, it's not coming back. It's coming back. I'm actually going to put out a members only video about that, about my point of view. Not everybody needs, not the whole internet doesn't need to hear my opinions, but some of you guys, the members, which I see some of you here right now. What's going on, Deck? Hey, Archmage Frey, you guys might want to hear what I have to say on certain topics. But today's topic is Into the Fold. We're going to go into the glory hole, so to speak, Bortis. But before we do that, I have to say it's been an exciting week for me, JP. Today was day 4 of me working my brand new job. And then, of course, I have to go back to work tomorrow. And then I have the weekend off. And then I start a whole new week on Monday, Monday through Friday. I'm very lucky to have, during the training time for this new job, which is like a 6-week process, I get to do Mondays through Fridays for a few weeks. And then I go into my new schedule, which is actually great for content creation, which will be I'll be working evenings, which means all day, every day I can be right here in front of the Talk in the Orville pewter, making stuff, putting it up on the interwebs for hopefully everyone to enjoy. I'm liking the new job, even though I'm just in the process of learning about it. You got to learn about the company. And then you start getting into policies of the actual job. I can't go into too much detail about my new job because I am under NDA with it, but it's the position of a social media content moderator, which is something I've been doing for years on my own social media sites. I've been curating them to be awesome places to go, not just a bunch of downers showing up in my feed, but I had to work at that. And now I get to work at that in real life as a job. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's a very, right now, it's a very coveted position everyone's going for. And I got it. I mean, a lot of people got it. They're hiring a lot of people. And I was lucky enough to be one of them. So I'm pretty excited. Archmage says, moderator, I hardly know her. And sometimes that type of behavior has to be moderated sometimes with certain posts that people post. I haven't got into any of the actual work that I'm going to be doing. It's all been about figuring out how apps work and different things like that. Archmage says, I'm well. How are you, Deck? Deck and Archmage becoming fast friends here in the Talk in the Orville space. I'm really excited about this episode. I remember watching Into the Fold for the very first time, still not knowing exactly what the Orville's about. At this point in my Orville adventure, every week was a little something different. Every episode in season 1 was something a little bit different, teaching you what this show can do. And this episode is definitely one of the episodes that shows everybody what the Orville can do. But the audience was very split in the reaction. I remember the audience being very split because this is a dark episode. Some things happen in this episode that some people are like, I don't agree with that. And other people are like, well, I kind of agree with that within the context of the situation. We'll talk about that as well. So for those of you who have never been to a watch party, I assume y'all have, at least with me, hopefully, or else why would you be here? But if you haven't been, the way it works, and let me put stuff up on the screen. I switch over to this mode right here. You got my face. My dumb face right there. What's up, Qjin Comic Art? What's going on, Alex? And then I put this up. I think this is the right thing. Yep, that's the right thing. And this is going to be a sliver of the episode playing in front of your eyes. Just a sliver that mostly shows, the whole point of this box is to show you the subtitles of the episode so you know where we are in the episode, because I can't legally I can't show the visuals of it. That's illegal. And I can't play the audio of it. That's illegal. But I can have this little sliver and I can have the subtitles so that you can stay along. But if you really want to really have fun, you will queue up the episode, season 1, episode 8 of the Orville, Into the Fold, up on your side of the screen, and you'll watch along. We'll all press play at the same time. I'll do a countdown from 5, and then on 1, we all press play. Couldn't be simpler. And then while the episode is playing, I'm talking about the episode. We're all giving commentary about it, but I'll also be giving some information about the episode, some behind the scenes stuff, and some information that you might not know about this episode. We're going to go through it. Qjin says, wanted to pop on and say hi, my friend. Well, I'm so glad you're here. Hope to see you hopefully next week. I think next week is when we're hoping to do the next episode of the Orville RPG. It's been a while. It's been a month or over a month, but we got to get together this month, and next weekend is the last weekend to do it. So that should be a lot of fun. So you guys, are you guys ready to watch the episode Into the Fold? Because we're going to talk about it while we watch it. All right, Qjin. So glad to hear it. Looking forward to the game. All right. We're going to do it then. So I'm going to count down from 5, you guys. Kingdom Cast. What's going on, Kingdom Cast? RPG. Yes, we have the Orville RPG. It's a lot of fun to play, and we get to use not only the rules that have been put into place around the Orville universe, but we also get to use our imaginations. All right, you guys ready? I got the episode right here. We're going to start with 0000 on the timestamp there. So I'm going to count down from 5. You guys ready? Here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the episode is playing. Oh, the Orville is beautiful. And for those who didn't know, this episode is rated TV 14. Now, some of you guys might remember a very similar scene in Family Guy, also created by Seth MacFarlane, where Stewie was trying to get his mom's attention. Mom. It's also something I used to do. Probably something a lot of you used to do when you were young. Ty is excited to go to the Pleasure Planet. Well, it's not really called the Pleasure Planet. That's like Rigel. It's called like a half fun amusement planet, maybe. Pleasure Planet sounds a little iffy for a child to be involved. And so this is actually our first episode of this is our first real episode of being introduced to Ty and Marcus, like fully introduced to them. I don't remember if we've even seen them before this episode. That I can't remember. So we got Ty and Marcus Ty is played by Kai Winner, and Marcus is played by BJ Tanner. And BJ Tanner is a lot older now and a lot taller now. And Kai is a lot older now too. But Kai is still a kid, thank goodness. BJ is an official adult now. Literal Disney World. Yeah, that's more of what this planet is about. So right off the bat, this is something I noticed when I first watched this episode. You'll see the fins going into Shuttle 2, but when they get to the planet, that shuttle will say Shuttle 1 on the side. That was a little faux pas with this episode. That sort of mislabeling of shuttles happened a few times in Orville's history. So John was supposed to go on this trip with them, but that's not who's going to go. All right, so let's get into some facts about this episode. Into the Fold is the 8th episode of the first season of The Orville. Isaac, Dr. Finn, and her 2 sons, Marcus and Ty, are stranded on a previously undiscovered moon whose starving and sick inhabitants have resorted to cannibalism. Oh, there's that Orville song. Love that song. So the episode is considered the darkest of the first season, and it really is. It was co-written by Brandon Braga. You guys know him from Star Trek fame, and Andre Bormanis, who was also worked on Star Trek, and directed by Braga. So this episode was actually directed by Brandon Braga. Music was composed by Joel McNeely. He's a favorite of ours. Star Trek veteran actor Brian Thompson guest stars as the alien survivalist Drojan in this episode. And you guys will recognize Brian Thompson. You'll see him soon enough. So Into the Fold performed above average for its time slot. Based on critical responses, it is regarded as a hate it or love it episode. As Into the Fold receives some of the most highly disparate reviews of any episode of the season. Like I said, the audience was pretty split. I remember that very clearly when this episode first came out. And for that week and the weeks to come, a lot of conversations, a lot of comments from people on the internet saying, "Oh, Claire shouldn't have done that." And I'm like, well, if you were in her position, you probably would have done the same. It was also fun to hear Isaac basically talk trash about Claire's kids. All right, so where I'm getting all this information from, if you don't know, is the Orville Fan Wiki, which has all the information on everything having to do with the Orville. It's very, very thorough. There's a link in the description of this video if you want to click and not only check out this episode, but all episodes of the Orville and anything else having to do with the Orville. The actors, the writers, the producers, fan responses. Talks about every single alien character, every planet. Gets really in depth with the technology. I remember it was a lot of fun actually seeing some very common parent-child relationship problems going on in this episode. You don't get a lot of that in Star Trek or in sci-fi too often. Maybe a little problems between Deanna and her mom, but they're adults. They should know better. This is kids running around wreaking havoc. So the writing process with this episode. So Seth MacFarlane tasked the producers, Brandon Braga and Andre Bormanis, to write this episode, what is now known as Into the Fold. However, Brandon was inexperienced with comedy scripts and terrified that he could not write a suitably funny episode. So Brandon was actually afraid to write this episode. He didn't know if he had it in him. I think he did. It turned out that while he was responsible for adding jokes in the script, most were actually removed by MacFarlane. Maybe he didn't have it in him from the jokes. Braga presented a draft to the writing team for a comedy pass, where the writers discussed the humor of the episode at length and helped pepper the script with humorous moments. I want to know who came up with the line, "now entering glory hole." That's just perfect. And while Braga recalled it relatively easy to write for Claire, his greatest challenge was writing for Isaac. Braga worried that a faceless, relatively nondescript android could undermine the emotions evoked in the episode's more sensitive scenes. Fortunately, he was very pleased with actor Mark Jackson's performance. Yes, Mark is a great. Just the little things that he adds to Isaac. He kind of gives off emotion using his hands. The way he moves his hands is very particular, and he created that whole movement with his hands for this character to help, just another way to help convey emotion to the audience. Man, they went through a glory hole, you guys. All right. I keep wanting just to watch the episode. Everybody be quiet. I'm watching. So I believe there's like 72 moons in this star cluster. and they just happened to find one. So writing was completed for this episode sometime between June and October 2016. 2016, you didn't even know there was a such thing as the Orville in 2016 because there wasn't. I mean, there was a team working on it, getting it all formed and figured out, but you didn't know that. You probably didn't know until a little bit, if at all, before the Orville came out. You know, probably knew probably a few months before the Orville came out. I didn't know anything about the Orville until a week after it premiered. I don't even remember how I learned about it. It must have been just on social media somewhere, and a little post came up or somebody mentioned it. I don't remember. So filming for this episode was completed sometime in 2017 under the direction of Braga. Filming took roughly 8 days to complete. Back in season one, with all these episodes we've been watching, it seems to be pretty standard that most of the episodes took about 8 days each to make. That's very different than with season two or especially season three. I don't even know. I'll have to do some research. I'm sure the Orville fan wiki tells us how long it took to make each episode, but they did cross-porting when they shot season three. So sometimes they would shoot a little bit of one episode and then they move right into a little bit of another episode, and they were doing that for the whole season. And everyone had to keep track of which episode and which scene from which episode they were filming. Because, you know, as an actor, and even as for the production team, the director and everything like that, they need to know where a scene is going and where it came from, what happened before the scene started. So they have to remember all of that too. Fusion is also watching on Twitch. That's right. We are on Twitch. We're on the YouTubes and the Twitch. Dex says the house that Claire's confined in reminds me of the houses that the apes live in the original Planet of the Apes movie. I watched the new one, Kingdom of the Planet Apes, with Peter Macon playing. I can't remember the character's name, but he was great and the character was great. Kingdom of the Planet Apes is now available on Hulu. I watched it a couple weeks ago, and the day it premiered on Hulu, it is now available on there. So if somebody wants to watch that movie, you haven't seen it yet, or you just want to see it again, get you some Hulu or get you a free trial of Hulu. I said this last week, went and watched the new Beetlejuice movie. Had a great time. Loved it. Good old Beetlejuice. And then Jessica and I finally watched the original Beetlejuice the other night. And that was great too. Way better than I remember. The effects aren't as good, but good enough to hold up. The story makes the whole thing hold up. So, what's this planet was filmed at Fraser Park in California. I don't know exactly where Fraser Park is, but that's where all this was filmed. Yeah, it says so right here. Scenes on the habitable moon surface were shot in Fraser Park, California. I don't know exactly where that is. And just like all the episodes, all the other episodes we've watched from season one so far, the score took 3 weeks to complete. So just the music on these episodes takes longer to make than the actual episodes. So the effects supervisors, Luke McDonald and Brandon Fayette, said that this episode was the first where the post-production staff understood how to work the most efficiently and hit their stride. So by the time they started working on this episode, all the effects teams and editing and production teams, their post-production teams, really knew how to work the most efficiently to put together an episode of the Orville. I do miss the banter between Marcus and Ty when we first met them when they were younger. They probably wouldn't come off so well nowadays. We'll see what happens with Marcus and Ty in season 4, because they're going to be a lot older. And people ask that in the comments all the time. How are they going to explain the kids being so much older? I'm like, because that much time is how much time will have passed from the last episode of the Orville to the next episode of the Orville. What takes 2.5 years to get the new season out? That's how much time will have passed in the story, in the universe. Yeah, he plays Raka. Now I remember. So it's not Raka, but it's Raka. Kuchner says, JP, are you still keeping your other YouTube channel? Yes. I actually have to carve out some time in my schedule. A little tough right now with the new job, but eventually I'll get acclimated to the new schedule. I just have a lot of stuff to catch up on right now in life, now that I have a job, work to do. Yes, I need to go through and scrub the old channel, because the old channel is going to be the new Egotastic Fun Time. And I'll just be putting out Egotastic Fun Time content on that channel. The first thing I've been thinking about that I want to put out is evergreen fun shorts explaining the answers to things. People ask, everybody asks questions like, why is the sky blue? Or, why are octopuses so gross? Things like that. I'm going to make little shorts explaining those things a little bit more in depth than just giving the answer, having visuals and stuff. Just fun little shorts explaining weird facts. So I'll give that a shot, see how that goes. And if I like it, then I'll keep making more. Cool. What is the new job, mate? Also, right on. A new job, mate. I am now a social media content moderator, or I will be after the training's done. It's like 6 weeks of training. I can't tell you the company that I work for, or I can't tell you much about the job because I am under NDA with this job. It's a very, very secretive job. I'm talking like the complex as well. I mean, we got security cards, got to scan in to get to the different rooms, and you can't have your phone on you. You have to put that up. You can't even have your wallet on you. You can't have paper on you. I mean, it's all very secretive stuff. But it's a good job. It's got a lot of great benefits. Super excited about it. And when I'm done with training, right now my training I'm doing Monday through Friday, basically a 9 to 5 job. But once training's done in 6 weeks, then I start my new schedule, which will be evenings, which is perfect because then I have all day to do content creation. Super excited about it. And I'll have Fridays and Saturdays off. That's good too. Hey, Lone Puppy, how you doing? Hi, folks. I missed the start. Our building had a fire emergency. Oh, man. I'm glad the emergency, I assume the emergency is over. You need to know where we are if you're going to watch along. We're at 15:57. 15 minutes and 57 seconds-ish. So preparing to air, relative to other episodes, the cast spoke relatively little of the episode prior to launch. Victor Martinez, thank you so much for the super chat. We got to put that on the screen. Very much appreciated, Victor. Thank you for that. You're helping to keep the lights on, help me stay alive while I'm figuring. While I have to work this job. As with most jobs, you have to work a little bit before you get paid. So I'll eventually get paid, but I have to wait a little bit. I have to keep working for a little while. So thank you very much for helping to keep these silly lights on in this room. We want to keep them purple and fuchsia. I'm calling that fuchsia. Purple, blue, and fuchsia make purplish and fuchsia when I put it on the screen here. But thank you so much, Victor. Very much appreciated. Let's see. Okay, so Mark Jackson, who plays Isaac, promised in 2 September 2017 interviews that Into the Fold would show Isaac develop relationships with other members of the Orville's crew. So of course we see him kind of develop a relationship with Claire and with Ty and Marcus. So that's what he's talking about there. And here's Brian Thompson, who's been in a bunch of Star Trek stuff. You might remember him also as a Klingon, but he's also done non-Klingon characters as well. I also think I remember him from an episode of X Files or a couple episodes of X Files. Yeah, but I remember in this episode, as soon as he appeared on the screen, I was like, "Oh, I know who that guy is." I didn't remember his name was Brian Thompson, but now I know. I know things. I kind of want a door like that with a little corner carved into it. Okay, so right here, you guys. So Claire has to escape this room. And one thing that we learned about Claire in a previous episode is she has a severe, debilitating fear of heights. But she's a mama and she needs to get back to her kids. So that fear of heights, don't need that anymore. I got to get to my kids. Good point, Lone Puppy. This episode is the foundation for Isaac protecting the Union from the Kalon. Now, Isaac's relationships with humans changes in this episode. He actually gets a relationship with humans. Right now, pretty much everyone's just a coworker. Things change. The Finn family. Some blast some Dolly Parton all day at work. Working 9 to 5 while we make a living. Wouldn't that be a great power to have as a parent? Just throw the words of the kids right back at them. So after the Orville premiered, MacFarlane commented on the ethics behind the final battle of the Finns and Isaac against the indigenous attackers. These fools on the screen right now, if you can see them, if you're watching it on your side. Claire orders Marcus to set his weapon to stun. They may not care about life, she says, but we do. Of course, this will be at the end of the episode. From a production standpoint, Claire articulated the philosophy of MacFarlane. MacFarlane said, Gene Roddenberry's philosophy was always very meaningful to me when I was a kid. I always loved that the phasers were set on stun. That was something you really only saw on that show, that there was actually an ethical code, that it wasn't about just shooting faceless bad guys. It was about respect for life. Unless somebody's detaining you and keeping you from your kids, then Claire feels a little bit different. But when that's not the case, she cares about life. And I remember so many comments like, "Oh, Claire's a murderer. She shouldn't have done that." I'm like, be put in her place. See what you do. I don't care how ethical you are or how moral you think you are. If you're put in a situation where someone's doing this creepy dude is got you locked up, uh, what do you think he might be doing? How are you feeling about his motives? Also, having to get back to your kids who might be dead or might need your help. If I was in her case, I'd be like, "Yep, dude's got to go." Now he's doing kind of a narcissist thing. Trying to convince her to feel grateful. Also, with the situation that his planet is in, people going cray. That situation will make the population start to go cray. This is also a follow-up planet. At the end of this episode, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, that ain't my fault. You should have seen it. Why didn't you enter the glory hole? The Union steps in and saves these people. Or at least they say they're going to save these people, give them vaccines or cures or something. Probably not a vaccine thing. It's probably just a cure type thing. Because it's a poison. Said they're going to get them back on track. We assumed they did that, and then we never heard about this planet or these people again. I want to know what happened to these people. Are they okay now? Are they rebuilding their society? Are they nice again? Are they getting? Are they eating cheeseburgers and French fries and not other people? Season 4. I'm hoping season 4 lets us know. Now, and also, we only assumed that Drojan was unalived in this episode. I have to say unalived because this is being moderated as well, and and there's certain words you can't really say without raising the eyebrow to the algorithms and the robots and the people that help the robots. We only assume he got unalived in this episode. He might be fine. He might have just been wounded, knocked out and wounded. But we'll just keep watching and just everyone pay attention if Claire says that he's unalived or not. But she doesn't have any medical equipment, and she wasn't there to try to, provide assistance. She was like, "I got to get out of here. I got to get to my kids ASAP." Yes, there is. Drojan said they put Palaxis. The enemy put, I think he said Palaxis, in the water, which poisoned everybody. So now Ty is poisoned. You called it a glory hole. Nobody else called it a glory hole. We might have to do a watch party one day where I just read the subtitles. I just play all the characters. That sounds like a lot of work. I don't know if we should do that. So critical response. Critics of the show were widely divided in their opinions of Into the Fold. Michael R. from Den of Geek gave the episode 4 stars, one of his highest grades of the season, writing that Into the Fold's departure from the show's characteristic airy humor was a welcome change. Nick Wanzerski praised the episode for its excellent acting by Penny Johnson-Gerald and innovative script. Jammer of Jammers reviews awarded the episode only 1.5 stars, one of his lowest grades of the season. So Jammer of Jammers isn't somebody I care to read. Sorry, Jammer of Jammers. Impact on season 2, right? So here we go. Creator Seth MacFarlane has implied the dark tone of the episode set the tone for episodes of season 2. In a January 2018 interview, MacFarlane stated that the success of Into the Fold convinced him that the Orville could be taken in more serious directions. And oh man, we get into some serious directions. We go on some very serious roads not taken in season 2 of the Orville. One of the really successful episodes to me, this is Seth MacFarlane, in the first season was the one where Claire and Isaac are trapped on that planet alone. It was very dark, kind of somber episode that still lived in that world very successfully. That episode for me in the first season was a real test of how far we can take the genuine science fiction aspect to it. Absolutely. And this is a great moment between the kids and Isaac. And Isaac's actually trying to I don't want to say, I guess you could say mother them because he's giving them the voice of their mother, but he's trying to take care of them and make them feel better. And he's being gentle, more gentle than Isaac usually is. Yeah, Isaac, his first instinct is usually be, truthful and harsh and direct. But here he's trying to find a softer way to get these kids to settle down. Leisure Planet, okay. Yeah, that's a safer term for kids than Pleasure Planet. Kingdom Cast says, when I watched the episode, I also assumed, what if he was the only survivor of the outbreak, like a scientist, and he was trying to help the aliens? or the alien. At first, I thought that, and then the more he talked, I was like, "Oh, this dude's got something going on." I don't know exactly what he wanted. I don't know if he was going to get rough with Claire, but he was definitely keeping her from her kids who could have been out there suffering. And but as you can see, he's actually trying to get her to feel sorry for him or to like him. I'm not saying necessarily like him in a romantic way, but to feel for him and be his new best friend. What's up, Dice Chuck? Well, hello, JP. Great to see you again, sir. Great to see you, Dice Chuck. Look at that cool building. Look at that cool apartment complex. Okay, so here we see Claire dealing with her horrible fear of heights, and she just gets over it. She just doesn't want to, but she's like, my kids need me. Dice Chuck says, so glad to see you waving the Orville flag. I continue to appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. We got a lot of Orville to talk about. I've known for a long time that the Orville's coming back, but a few months ago, I learned directly, officially, privately, that the Orville has been picked up for a fourth season. And now we're hearing rumblings from the cast. We heard from we heard from Seth MacFarlane publicly that there will be more Orville, but we also recently heard from Scott Grimes that production starts January 2025. Dice Chuck, you got married. All right, congratulations. I hope you two are just as happy as can be. Hope you got some time together to go out there and do something fun. That is great to hear. I'm a lover of love, so I love hearing things like that. Deck, thank you so much. Super chat by Deck, official channel member, helping out our YouTube friend. Appreciate it very much, Deck. The lights will be staying on. The lights will be staying on, and eventually the lights will be getting brighter and brighter, metaphorically brighter. I like this level. I like this illumination level right here. But they'll always be on. Fingers crossed. So this episode aired originally near Halloween, and given its dark content, it's regarded as thematic for the season. Yeah, this is a very different episode. I didn't expect an episode like this from the Orville. Now it wouldn't surprise me. All the things the Orville has done wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, think of all the crazy stuff going on in season 2. Road Not Taken is very dark. Entire alternate reality of badness. All right, Claire, you can do this. Just go to the other room. Right there. This is a really cool looking apartment complex. Dice Chuck says, JP, is there any confirmation on what cast will be back and what ones will not? I hear rumors, but that's all. Whatever rumors you heard are just rumors. People are saying, Adrian Palicki is not coming back. Well, there's no official word. I knew right away. I watched her interview. I knew right away there was nothing going on. She was mad that she wasn't able to work, but now the work's here. She's going to want to work, I would think. So I was never worried that she would return. But I do know the show wants to get everybody back. That is the goal, is to get everybody back, and I am sure they will do it. Ain't nothing much else going on with any of them. The only person really doing much of anything is Scott Grimes, who's working on the Ted series, but he's doing that with Seth MacFarlane. And of course, Scott Grimes is coming back. He's the one that announced they're going into production. I know Jay Lee wants to come back. I do wonder about. I'm sure Peter Macon will come back, but I do wonder because I believe Peter Macon moved to Georgia after season 3 came out. But that just means moving back or just traveling back when it's time to film. Actors do that all the time. They live in one place, but they travel to another place, another state or another area to work on a project. And then once the project's done, they go on to another project or they go stay at home for a little while. Kingdom Cast says MacFarlane usually brings back deceased characters and he does it in a tasteful way. I would love to have an immortal Yaphet. Yeah, we have to figure out Yaphet. The assumption is that Yaphet will go through mitosis and split into two new characters because that's already in the Orville canon that jellies do that. So I'm like, okay, so that's what it will do. I would love to have Charlie back. Some people are like, oh, that would make her sacrifice meaningless. I'm like, not if you do it right. And if anyone can do it right, it's the team over at the Orville. I'd love to see Priya snatch Charlie right before she exploded because she needs that fourth dimensional mind. And maybe Charlie's been kidnapped. She doesn't want to be there, but also enough time's probably passed where she doesn't feel like she should return to the Union because she feels she should have died because of Amanda. She wants to be with Amanda, so maybe Charlie's alive but not happy to be alive. That'd be a great story for at least one episode. You don't have to bring her back permanently, but one episode I think would be great. Dice Chuck says, so the show wants them all, and they likely all want it. I believe so. So as long as there's no scheduling conflicts, we can be cautiously optimistic that everyone will be back. Hey, that's exciting. Hope it works out. Yeah, I think you can be optimistic that everyone will be back. And there's no scheduling conflicts. I've looked through everyone's doing. Doesn't look like anyone's got anything going on that would prevent them from filming season 4 of the Orville. Maybe Charlie is the creator of that time travel wormhole. Ooh, I like that. I like that. Maybe the Orville closed the wormhole, and Priya wants it back, and the only way to get it back is to use the fourth dimensional mind of Charlie to create something that creates that wormhole in the first place. That is cool. That's a really cool idea. I'm going to have to take that one on and think about it and just start talking about it because I like it that much. Same company and budget. I believe it is Disney. It hasn't been revealed that it's Disney, but from what people have told me when they told me that it was picked up for a 4th season, to me that sounds like Disney's got it. I do know Disney is currently the owner of the Orville outright. So I assume they're the ones that did it. Also, I know Disney wants to have some hardcore science fiction shows under their in their repertoire. That's not the word. That's the word I'm using. And so I assume it's Disney, and I assume Disney is going to give them the same budget as season 3. Lone Puppy says Isaac invented that time machine, so it's likely is more likely others in the future. Yeah, Ed closed the wormhole in the episode Priya, meaning Priya's life is totally different. It didn't have a wormhole or anything like that, so her life is different. But then Isaac developed the time machine. So that means now Priya will have access to time travel in the 29th century. She'll probably have a different life, probably traveling through time in a different way, not doing the wormhole thing. Maybe she'll be awesome. Maybe she'll be a hero, a time travel hero. Who knows? But I'm sure she had a different life. But time travel is once again possible for her in her timeline. Dice Check says that's true. Charlie had a special brain ability, didn't she? Be cool to work that in if they bring her back in a way that makes sense and doesn't diminish her sacrifice. I think they could totally do it. I think the best way to bring her back is in a way where she doesn't want to be back. And that'll make it still be meaningful that she died. She didn't die. It's because she wants to well, I shouldn't say die, the D word. I'm sure it'll slip through, but the D word I gotta get used to these things. Yeah, Priya 2.0 could be part of the new time At least she is from the 29th century, which doesn't apply in this situation. In this universe, but does apply to other sci-fi universe. Yeah, see, Ty needs her help. It's a good thing she escaped from Trojan. So while filming in Fraser Park, actors BJ Tanner, Marcus, and Kai Winner Ty found themselves sapped of energy at the end of each day. To keep them focused, MacFarlane would give directions to the children in Peter Griffin's voice from Family Guy. I don't know if that would keep me focused. That'd probably make me not focused because I'd be having so much fun being talked to by Peter Griffin, but it worked for the kids. Dice Check says it's sci-fi. That's the beauty of it. They can do anything. I just hope they do it well. But then Seth seems to do everything well. He does, and especially when it comes to this show, because doing well is extremely important to him. And because it's important to him, and he's trained all these people under him that work on the show, it's important to everybody. Not only production, but the cast as well. Everybody you see or knows working on this show, or don't even know is working on the show, loves this show. It's important to them. Breathe, Ty, breathe. Yep, a labor of love. Seth MacFarlane calls this show a passion project. Um, and when he told everybody a few months ago that there will be more of the Orville, he's called it a passion project. And one of the reasons he's not able to do it right now is because the studios want him to do all these other projects that they want, so that they'll let him do his passion project, which is the Orville. So when you see like the TED series coming out and other things that Seth is working on, he's doing it so that we can get more Orville. Yeah, the main reason for it's high quality. So this episode, not surprisingly, is well, at least early on at this point, was Penny Johnson Carroll's absolute favorite episode. I might It might still be. Next time I talk to her, I'll ask her. But her favorite episode now might be Graves Unknown. All the stuff with um, Isaac, dating Isaac, stuff like that. And of course, there's Happy Refrain. This episode will eventually bring us Happy Refrain. And they'll bring us Identity Part 1 and 2 from Unknown Graves. All of the Isaac and Claire episodes stemmed from this one episode. Priya 2.0, hey Lone Puppy says Priya 2.0 rescues Charlie for her fourth dimensional brain, but the project she's put onto ends up creating the time travel wormhole. Accidentally, of course. Love it. That is such. That's I, half of that I've been talking about for months and months and months now, but not the accidentally creating the wormhole thing. That's new to me. I love that. So now that's what I'm going to be talking about. Because I'm like, I've always just said, oh, Priya needs Charlie's mind for some fourth dimensional reason. That's a great reason. And it brings it all the way back to the beginning, which started off a whole new timeline anyway. The Orville was supposed to be destroyed in episode 5, but they got saved from that dark matter storm. All of this was never supposed to happen. We're in a new timeline. And this moment right here, I saw it. When I first saw this episode, I'm like, there's a little bit of something going on between these two. I remember after reviewing this episode when it was brand new, I said that, and people were like, nah, that's not going to happen. I'm like, I don't know. It kind of seemed like they're kind of grooving on each other a little bit. And it turned out I was right. So right here, she invites him to, be more part of the family. Be part of the family a little bit, little robot man. Dice Chuck says, "I have to go now, JP. Fantastic to see you. You as well, Dice Chuck. I know you were going through some real trials and tribulations, but DS9 reference right there for a while there. I really hope those dark days are behind you. I truly appreciate the great work you're doing. I know this is your passion project, and it's wonderful. I wish you every continued success with it. Stay awesome, my friend. Keep the dice rolling." Thank you so much, Dice Chuck. Yeah, there was some dark times there, but I started my new job this week, and I've been put on a path that's everything's going to be better and better and better. And for a little while there, things are going to be better for Isaac before identity, but we got a ways to go before we get to identity. And next week we're going to watch Cupid's Dagger, and we're going to be reacquainted with Derulio, you guys. Thanks, Dice Chuck. Appreciate it. Dex says, "Are you planning to do another Orville thing jingle this year, or does YouTube's copyright restrictions get in the way?" YouTube's copyright restrictions do get in the way unless I come up with something completely original. But I wouldn't be able to record a bunch of music. But I could still do a an Orville themed jingle this year. I just won't be putting it on YouTube. I'll put it up on Patreon because I can put videos up on there, put it up on Twitter, things. I'll put it up on social media, but I will not be putting it up on YouTube because I ain't messing with YouTube anymore when it comes to that stuff. Things are getting stricter and stricter and stricter and stricter. Oh, look, there's that's not my face. Hold on. Here I am. Yeah, so I can put out a jingle, but it won't be on YouTube. But now that I have a job again, and I'll eventually be getting the things that I need put into place, I'll be getting my website back eventually. I haven't had my website in a while now because I just couldn't afford to renew the yearly charge of it. I want to get my website back, so I'll be putting stuff up like that on my website. So whatever I make, you'll be able to see it. It just won't be seen on YouTube. But if you have other websites available to you that are not YouTube, we should be good. And one last thing I want to say about this episode is that it takes place a little bit before March of the year 2420. Wasn't that important? Didn't you need that piece of information? And then there's some other things, alternate titles. In Ukraine, it's called Folding. In Russia, it's called In the Crease. Japanese, it's called Family Trip. In Italian, it's called The Space Mistake. That sounds fun. I like that. In Hungary, it's called Survivors. In German, it's Fold in Space. In French, it's Spatial Fold. And in Chinese, it's called Into a Crack in Space. That's just glory hole after glory hole after glory hole. This is such a great episode. It's not talked about enough, I don't think. But it was a game changer. I mean, I would think most people that know what's going on would know that this episode, for not only the audience, but for the producers, the production of the show, for Seth MacFarlane, this episode was a game changer. And my wife, I can hear, just got home. I'm excited. I haven't seen her all day today because I was working. And and then I'll have to, once we're done with this live stream here in a few minutes, I'll go say hello, hang out with her for an hour. And then I'm sure she'll go to bed. And then I'll probably go to bed and get ready to do the whole day all over again tomorrow. My 5th day at my new job tomorrow. And it's just starting to get juicy, you guys. We're starting to really get into the meat and bones of what the job is. So I'm excited to learn more. Yes, Lone Puppy says, I really enjoyed the family element in this episode. Same here. You didn't really get much of the family element in the show until this episode, when you got kids running around being kids, being a pain in the butt, being annoying to Isaac. Of course, Isaac's, at least verbally, says he's willing to go a little bit further than just spanking or something like that. He's ready to delete these kids, and then shoot their game with a pistol. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun to see Claire just kind of lose it. And she literally said, I'm going to lose it. But you guys, I want to thank you. I probably next week will have to change the time again. I just can't get home in time after work because it does take about 30 minutes, 34 minutes to set up the live stream, all the windows that I need open and things like that. So I'm glad I postponed it by an hour today. For the rest of the season, I'm sure I'll be doing the same thing. We'll be doing it at the 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and not the 4 o'clock. So once I get some time, I'll have to go and rework the watch party schedule. Kujin says, have a great one, JP. Looking forward to gaming with you next weekend. Yes, you guys, don't forget, next week we're going to, I haven't scheduled it yet, but I'm going to very soon. We're going to be doing the next episode of the Orville RPG tabletop game. We'll have all of our players here, all of our characters here, and we will be going up against the big bads and trying to accomplish our mission in the next episode next week. So keep an eye out for when I post that. I'll be posting it on the community page, as well as it'll just be created. So YouTube will probably say, hey, this is going to happen one of these days. Thanks a lot, Dick. I very much appreciate it. I do have to go. We did our hour. Once I get on my official schedule with the new job after training is complete, we will be doing a lot more stuff. But right now, the RPG game coming next week, the watch party, and I do have an interview with the person who drew up the Orville schematic for the all-new Guide to the Orville book coming out next month. In just a couple weeks, we're going to talk about the schematic. It's a beautiful schematic of the entire ship. Three-dimensional. It's amazing. It tells you what every part of the ship is, what it does. It has cutaways of the different rooms and areas of the ships. Lone Puppy, thank you so much. Illuminate. Thank you so much for that super chat, Lone Puppy. Very much appreciated. Archmage says, time for this wolf to head out of the fold. Have a fantastic night. Now exiting Gloria Hole, Archmage Frey. Very cool, says Kujin. All right, you guys, let me press some buttons here. Thank you all for showing up. Here's the button. All right, so thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for showing up and being part of the chat. Thank you for some awesome ideas about bringing Charlie Burke, how to bring Charlie Burke back. I had half the idea. You guys had the second half of the idea, which is the best part of the idea. So I'll see you all very soon. And remember, we all do better when we all do better. Love you. Bye-bye.